Do it.
We're rolling.
This is Felt Recoil.
All right. We made it to 3. It's good that nobody pays us to do this because we can make it to as many as we want. Can't possibly get fired. To me, that's a good thing.
Is that a goal?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
To get fired from your own podcast, how cool would that be? As long as I get it on tape. All right. My name is Chris. This is the Felt Recoil podcast. My hetero life mate across the table from me is called Patrick, a.k.a. P-Mag, to all of his gun friends. And then our good buddy Jake, we want to send a big O thank you to him for joining us.
Glad to be here.
See what I did? A big O thank you.
It's very clever.
Yeah, we got it.
Listen, just put me in charge of your marketing. I'll fix everything.
All right.
Jake Odum is here with us, a gun fanatic, if you will. But also, what is your official title over there at the big old Dodge?
Officially, I guess I'm the GM.
The general manager, huh? Mm-hmm. Calling the shots.
That's right.
The big boss.
Part owner.
Part owner. If you're from the upstate of South Carolina, you would know Jake because for years his family has operated a car dealership called Big O Dodge. We got what you're looking for. That's taking it back a bit.
That was old school.
Under the big American flag on the motor mile.
What did I tell you before we started about you singing?
That you loved it.
That is not what I said at all.
Somehow you couldn't keep your pants on when I did it.
What happened to that hetero
Jake,
life
you were
mate
there.
thing?
Right.
You were there?
I heard it.
No, I only started it by
less.
calling you my hetero life mate as kind of a passive-aggressive way of telling you to keep your pants on.
Right.
As we're in my house with my wife and 3 children. Your advances are a moot point, my friend.
Right.
Okay, let's start with 2 things. To go from being complete idiots to one very serious thing. I saved it on my phone here. If you saw the news out of Berlin, a Tunisian refugee, which is very important, a Tunisian refugee got himself a bus, ran it through a crowd of people, killed, is it 9? Is the death toll at 9 right now?
That's what I heard, yeah.
Here's an update, and for the record, this is from CNN. I think that's important. This is from CNN. Berlin attack suspect was arrested in August with forged documents and released, according to German security officials. From CNN. So if Angela Merkel thinks cowing over to the Islamic Caliphate that is ISIS is smart in any way, obviously she's wrong. But not to be the tinfoil hat, crazy scare tactic kind of guy. But also, if you don't think this is coming here, if you don't think Christmas parades and Easter parades are subject to pretty soon having a similar attack, you're in for a very rude and very crude and horrific awakening because we're letting these guys in. Again, Tunisian, which is what? The birthplace of what? Anyone? Tunisia?
Islam?
No, the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring began in Tunisia. Remember?
Still these books he's got behind him.
I was going to say, I'm not going to answer any more questions.
So what I heard on the way over here was the media doing the whole, but we don't want to jump to conclusions thing.
Right.
So they've already said,
Its name.
possible ties to terror,
Right.
yada yada yada. He's using the ISIS playbook now of running a car through, crowded space, mowing people over, and then now they're going, we don't know what his motives are.
Right.
It wasn't there just an extreme case of irony with where Merkel was at the time of the attack?
Yeah.
Where was she? I'm not familiar with that angle actually. Where was
She
she?
was like at a pro-Muslim, pro-Islam
It was like
event.
It was like a housewarming party for refugees.
Right. It was like welcome. We'll take.
Of course
you.
it was.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But yes. Oh, sweet, horrific irony. I'll tell you this. It's funny in the saddest sense that we really tend to ignore the obvious. Does anybody remember the news questioning Dylan Roof's motives? When Dylan Roof shot up the church in Charleston, does anybody remember the news being like, well, he killed 9 people?
Let's wait a second.
We're
Let's
not-
wait a second,
we're not
guys.
really sure exactly
Figure out
why.
exactly what
Let's
he
not
was
jump
up
to
here.
conclusions here.
A white guy with racist posts all over his Facebook page walked into a black church and mowed down 9 people. But whoa, Van Jones, you hold on now. You're really jumping to some conclusions. It's an amazing
Don't make
hypocrisy.
us get Don Lemon on this.
Yeah, it's an amazing hypocrisy. Real quick, I'm gonna pause. Did everybody else's headphones change, or did that just do it to mine?
Mine are good.
Okay, because mine just popped like crazy, and now it sounds real hollow. But if it's me, I'll keep going. Okay,
That's just your
You
head.
guys are confident.
Yeah, I don't think it's your headphones.
You know what? Then that's staying in. All right. So anyway, it is it's a crazy thing, and we live in a horrible time. And I just want to say, for the record, this reckless abandon of welcoming refugees is a very, 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 very bad idea. And I hope we stop, or at least vet them, at least figure it out. Okay, point number 2, before we go much further, just to correct the record, as we did last week with Hickok 45 and whatever his lunatic post was about with Smith & Wesson changing their name. The Delta guy, if you've seen the video of the guy who says he's being kicked off a Delta flight for speaking Arabic, if you haven't seen it yet, you're going to see it within the next 24 hours. He is a known fraudster. He was in trouble before because he's a YouTube prankster who got busted faking Islamophobia, pretending that he was being beaten or something on a street because of the way he was dressed or just berated or whatever. He's been busted for this before. He's trying to fry bigger fish by taking on Delta. Just remember that we told you, absolutely not. It's going to turn out to be not true. It's all a hoax. Not true, not true, not true, not true. And I stand by that. Okay, now to more important things.
Lay it on me.
We're going to get to Jake in just a minute. We're going to spend most of our time tonight with Mr. Odum. But I saw Rogue One. And no spoilers here.
Yeah, because I want to see it.
Jake told me that in an email earlier.
I haven't seen it either.
All right, don't spoil anything.
I've already told him I don't want to have to, hurt him.
I wish he'd have been that nice in the email. That would have been nice. He actually went into pretty horrific detail.
Kind of paused before he actually finished that sentence.
He said, so the surgeon sewed you up after he cut your throat open. I'm not going to do that. Sewing up, that is.
So, how on a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a Star Wars fan are you?
Oh man, I'm not. 0 being you don't care, 10 being like
You got the pajamas.
right. I'm middle of the road.
Okay,
I'm
fair enough.
I'll take a 7.
Okay,
7.5.
but let me can I ask a quick question? Are you qualifying that because there's like 9 new ones now? If we asked you, how big of a fan are you of the 3 real ones?
Right,
The
yeah.
real ones.
Well, yeah, you
Where's
do
your
kinda have
fandom
to-
at?
You do kind of have to say.
So take those out, and we're just talking
take
about
all-
what
just the
we
first
grew
3.
up with. Yeah.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah.
They're like really cool. So I mean, yeah, I would,
Like you go up to like a 9 or 10 at that point.
yeah, I mean, at least let's make
I
it
feel like if you got like you're 9, you're like collecting the figurines and keeping them in the freaking
Yeah,
box.
you know the
right,
names of the
right.
planets.
And 10, like you legally change your name to Skywalker.
Right. I would do that. Good thing I didn't introduce him to baby number 2, huh?
Right.
He only met Beck. Skywalker was already in bed. His sister Leia. If we can make it real, we have to. Okay, so I'm with you. I would probably be like a 6 of the originals. As I've mentioned to people, when the Jar Jar Binks guy showed up,
Yeah, that guy was lame.
and I was all pumped about, they're going to go back and give us, 1, 2, and 3, or however it worked, And then I showed up for that. I said, nah, never again. And I didn't. I didn't see any of the subsequent, the ones that followed, I didn't go back to because to me,
was
that's not true. I
always-
saw the Anakin one.
I was mad about when they went back and added things to the first ones.
Right. Yes. But there was a great South Park about that.
Yep.
Them
Yeah.
trying to stop George
Yeah.
Lucas. Yeah. You're right.
They should. I know George Lucas is, a deity to Star Wars fans, but I mean, sometimes you don't need to be left to your own devices.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
But who's the guy that tells George Lucas, I don't know if that's a good idea.
Right.
I don't know if that works.
Right.
And he's just like, he just takes a lightsaber out and just cuts their hand off. And
Right.
It's
I'll show you.
It's reminiscent of the SNL bit where Tom Hanks played Sully. Did you see that?
Oh no.
Where Sully Sullenberger that landed the flight on the Hudson, Miracle on the Hudson, and so Hanks is playing this character. He's playing Sully, pushing the movie, obviously, and he's sitting in the pilot seat. And Alec Baldwin walks in. He says, "Oh, I think there's been a mistake. This is my chair." And then Tom Hanks is all like, "No, I'm Sully." It's like, "Yeah, but FAA says you actually have to log 40 hours as a co-pilot." And then he's like, "Oh yeah, well, I'm Sully, so no big deal." He calls the tower. "Yeah, it's a Sully." And they're like, "Yeah, you have to move." And he's like, "Sully, Miracle on the Hudson, Sully." And they're like, "You still have to move." I can imagine that being the conversation you'd have with George Lucas, where you're like, "You probably shouldn't go back and redo your masterpiece." No, I'm George Lucas. Right. Luke Skywalker, all that.
Yeah.
So, all right, I won't ruin it. I'm not going to spoil anything. I just want to say how truly disappointed I was. Disney owns LucasArts now, right? Or Lucasfilms or whatever it is. They own them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they're making like a Star Wars world.
It is obvious.
Totally didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
How can we milk this for all it's worth?
Yeah.
People don't buy lunch boxes anymore, so I guess we
Right.
better build a theme park.
Right. So, the point being, Disney, it's not like you're going to run out of money. And the CGI proves that. I'll say this much. There's a lot of characters and references that tie back to the originals, which was super cool. Helmets are the same, costume design the same, that kind of stuff. And then you're seeing familiar faces that could only be there because they're CGI'd in. And you're like, whoa, that's amazing. But, and a big but here. It's as if they started writing it and they were like, okay, so what happens here? Oh, well, this. Okay, but how did they end up doing that? Doesn't matter. They're going to buy it anyway. They're going to buy it anyway. Don't worry about it. And there's, do you remember the movie? I don't remember the name of it, but it had Fred Savage in it, where his brother was like a savant video game player. And
The Wizard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the
Bingo.
Wizard.
I have a lot of useless knowledge.
They had the power glove. Remember
Yep.
that? And
That's why you're here.
do you remember thinking that the power glove, you were going to actually be able to punch at your TV and that would work? And then you finally got one for Christmas and realized you'd really been ripped off.
No, it was
like you
weak.
were sold a bill of goods on that. So in that movie, if you recall, they play Super Mario 3 for like this grand Wizard Mastership Championship video game tournament. And the savant kid goes up there, and the MC comes out with his microphone and goes, "And now we give you a brand new game." And they unveil Mario 3. And somehow Fred Savage's character goes, "Take the secret bypass," or whatever, right? What was it called? "Take the shortcut. Take the secret shortcut." And even at 7 and 8 years old, I remember thinking, how do you know there's a shortcut? I thought it was a new game, right? There's a moment like that in this movie where he's like, how do I do this? How do I do it? I've never seen this object before. And they're like, use the lever. And he goes, oh, yes. And this very complex mechanism he suddenly knows how to use perfectly. Maybe it was supposed to be the Force or something, but they didn't make that very clear.
Right.
But there were a few moments like that where I thought, man, this is really disjointed, kind of lacked the creative effort that I think they could have put into it.
You like the previous one? The other new one?
I've not seen them.
What?
Yeah, I didn't see The Force Awakens and all that. I saw the Anakin Skywalker one because I wanted to see the origin of Darth Vader. That was cool to me. That's
Like
again,
where he's a kid?
Yeah.
And he drives a little speeder thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you didn't see The Force Awakens?
No, the most recent new one before Rogue One I have not seen.
Oh, yeah, that one was pretty good. I thought.
Was it? Okay. Yeah. See, I don't know. I got burned. And I'm telling you, I was burned so bad that when the guys from work said, hey, we're all going, do you want to go? I said, well, if it's a group thing, I'll go just to hang out. Like, we're going to go, have a good time and eat dinner and all that together beforehand. I'm down. But I'm not going to go just to see the movie. It's not something I would go see.
Right.
I'm the type of guy, and I'm not trying to sound deep and philosophical, but I can't suspend reality that much. I can do it a little bit. Like, I can watch a Denzel Washington movie and know that's Denzel, but buy into his character. Like, when I watch American Gangster, I believe he's that dude. Like, he is that guy. That's him. He's bad.
But you
he's
can't
killing
just
people.
get lost in the alternate universe.
Not all the time.
See, I can. I can
Yeah.
buy in and roll.
Well, okay, if it's consistent, I can.
Avatar?
Didn't see Avatar.
What the?
I'm not a movie guy. I'm not a huge movie guy. That's probably pretty important to highlight at this point.
I saw it, but not until like years after it had been out.
Okay.
Now that I've been ranting against movies for 20 minutes, I should probably point out I don't really watch them.
First movie I've watched since high school.
Okay, so like The Patriot is believable to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. With Mel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's obviously a lot of movies like that.
Well, I mean, Mel's pretty.
Like Passion of the Christ. I was able to go, this is real.
Well, because it's a true story.
Because it's a true story. But like, okay, when you're shooting a laser at somebody and you're hitting every target, and then 1,000 lasers are coming back at you, and somehow you can run in between all of them,
Right.
that doesn't work for
But that
me.
directly harkens back to the first 3 Star Wars.
In a way, it does.
Where they're, Harrison Ford is hopelessly outnumbered, and there's
Right.
But he's like precision. I mean, he's one shot, one kill. I mean, he's
Absolutely.
dead.
Right. He's Han Solo.
Right.
What's the problem here?
Right.
I'm
The
not,
stormtroopers are the worst shots ever.
I'm not suspending reality.
I mean,
He's Han Solo.
Yeah, they had like the formations and the march down, but they had no firearms training at all.
They're the Germans of outer space. Those guys
No
can,
time for that.
they can march in time. Don't ask them,
The prequels for me, the Jar Jar Binks thing didn't really bother me that much.
Right.
Not as much as most people, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, these be good podcasts.
He was just
Right.
He was just lame.
But you know what really killed me was the guy that played the older Anakin,
Oh, what was his name?
Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, because he was going to be
That
really
guy
popular, and then he
freaking
wasn't.
sucked.
Yeah.
Like
He
when he
was
like
so
teenage
bad.
Anakin.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was so bad.
was.
That's like the worst acting I've ever seen. And I think he like dropped off the face of Hollywood after that. Like I
That-
don't think he even acts anymore, which is probably the
probably
best thing
shouldn't.
for everybody. I mean,
right.
let's be honest.
Right.
It's a win-win.
He like watched it at the premiere and was like, "I'm going to do y'all a favor and change careers."
Yeah.
It's the only time a critic has ever written a negative review, and the actor read it and was like, you know what? He's right.
He's spot on.
You know what?
I'm hanging it up.
I'm gonna go back to waiting tables.
Oh,
I wonder if
brother.
they got any openings down at the Valet.
Right.
All right, in other breaking news, because that's what this is a radical breaking news program. I thought this was interesting. This week, Donald Trump officially wins with the Electoral College.
Right.
Right?
Because we needed to wait till now to
Huge.
find that out.
Right. Huge. By the way, we were doing inventory counts at work the other night, and I made that comment that he had officially won the Electoral College. And Patrick, as my witness, one of the cashiers looked at me and goes, "You know, I didn't even know that was a thing."
The Electoral College?
She claims it's not what she was saying. It's definitely how it came off.
Right.
She's a smart girl.
I heard
She's-
what I heard.
Yeah, she's about to go fly airplanes in the Marine Corps or something crazy like that. So she's actually super smart.
But did she think it was like an actual like school for electors?
I think she thought
I don't know what she did.
that it all happened at the same time is what she
Okay.
was trying to say. She
Right.
thought that the day we were voting, the electors
That
were
it was
casting their votes as well.
Gotcha.
Not that the election actually happens on like December, 17th or 19th, whenever it was. But
It's not enough that we're not letting it go at work, but now we're putting it out here on the podcast too.
I called the mutual
awesome.
friend we share the moment it happened, and I said, "Hey, Brandon, you need to be aware that this just happened." And he was like, "Say what now?" I said, "That's right. Don't let her live it down." He said, "You got it." But here's what's interesting to me. So, we know of the protests to get the electors to change their vote, right? We're all aware of that.
Death threats.
Are you aware that it worked and that one elector went for Ron Paul, one other elector,
That makes sense.
right? Which, by the way, Facebook status win forever. I want to get this girl's name, Julie. I cannot remember your name. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. This chick won the internet for me that day. Julie Borowski. Do you guys follow her? She's really funny. Her Facebook status goes, "Okay, 269 more electoral votes needed for Ron Paul to be president. Let's do this." Which is brilliant.
That's what you call a grassroots movement, folks.
You had one defector that went for Ron Paul. You had one defector leave Trump and vote for, I can't remember who it was out in Texasville, but it wasn't the Ron Paul guy. But listen, 5 defectors for Hillary Clinton that voted for Bernie Sanders. So the electors defected 5 times more against Hillary than they did for Trump, which I think is the right call. Because if you're going to make a moral case, here's the thing. We now know
Bernie's an idiot.
Bernie is very much an idiot. Bernie, it should sadden us all.
Right. It was just a really lame, passive aggressive stance to take just to vote for Ron Paul and Bernie. I mean, it was
right. You're trying to prove some sort of point, right? And the point is, and by the way, Bernie reminds me, my dad had a brother who at one time he's very hippie-ish, and at a family vacation, he legitimately read a poem and then made a statement about how we should stop killing cockroaches in our house and capture them and release them, and that will show us we have evolved. Now, before you go crazy, he passed away last year, so don't make too much fun. Right. But it was the strangest moment ever. I was like, okay, Bob, do you believe in evolution? Yes, of course I do. Then how the heck would we have ever gotten here if everybody thought like you did? You're going in like reverse, right? You're regressing to the beginning. If we're not killing cockroaches, which carry diseases that make us sick and could potentially kill us, we have to kill them. That's who Bernie reminds me of, you know? So all that to say this, if you're going to make a moral case of, I have to defect because we now know, okay, the big argument, another CNN update today, by the way, was Hillary lost despite, here it goes, winning by the largest margin of the popular vote that anyone has ever received and still lost. So because she got more than 2 million votes, CNN's spin on it is, well, you know what? Nobody's ever won the popular vote by more than 2 million.
So she is
and
officially
still lost.
She's officially the biggest loser.
Fantastic. Fantastic analysis, Hulon. Please continue.
CNN should put me on payroll.
Well, so I was thinking, so we know that that's because of New York and Los Angeles only. Had New York and Los Angeles not voted, Hillary Clinton would have lost by millions of votes. Okay? So what they're telling you is that New York and Los Angeles should be allowed to rule the people of rural South Carolina, of Wyoming, of North Dakota. People, thousands of miles of them should be subjugated to the whims and the conscience of the people of New York City and Los Angeles. That's what the progressives believe. It's a strange way to think, but that's what they believe, right? So let's say they want that, so that's why they want to do away with the Electoral College, right? But their moral case for the Electoral College was, if someone is not qualified to be president, you have to temper majority tyranny and not vote for that person. So if Hitler runs for president and you're an elector and you know he's going to murder all the Jews, you exist to not allow the popular passion of the time, the populists, to take over, right? Okay, that's a fair point, and that's why I think the Electoral College is there as a safety net. However, if you examine that argument, isn't there a better case to be made that we don't vote for Hillary, a woman who has legitimately gotten people killed, who has committed perjury, who was fired from Watergate for being unethical, who we know defended a child rapist and later laughed about it, a woman who mishandled classified information, who has committed high crimes against the country? Isn't your morality better suited to say that's the person we don't vote for? Maybe Donald Trump is a moron. Sometimes he really acts like it, but that doesn't make him unfit and unqualified. It doesn't mean he's committed a crime against the country, but Hillary actually has. And the FBI says because she didn't intend to, they won't prosecute her, right? Yeah. Isn't there a stronger case to be made using their own argument against them to say, I agree with you, but really it's Hillary that we should take the moral stance against?
And that's the overwhelming case. But I feel like a lot of people just can't even relate to that stuff because it's so high level. But to put it on everybody's level, you can also just know that she is documented by everyone that's ever been in contact with her as just being an awful human being.
Yeah, there's literally books about it.
Right. First-hand accounts of people being treated like absolute garbage on a daily basis. And, I mean, this woman is a hateful human being. Even that, like, that's enough.
Yeah.
She's actually committed real crimes that she should be in jail for, and she's not. But she's also a raging B-word.
Yep.
And I think that
it's a podcast. You can say it.
We're not FCC regulated yet. You know, it's funny you say that because it reminds me of the fact that, yes, there are literally books of CIA agents saying it was punishment to have to guard Hillary, right? And then we know she's
Secret Service.
What did I say?
CIA.
Yes, that's what I meant. Secret Service.
Okay. I was going to
just checking.
slide.
Now her camp is pushing.
That's what I'm here for.
He's my ombudsman.
Nice.
Look that up. Now
I don't know how to spell it.
her camp is now pushing the fake news, right? You know, oh, it's fake news we have to worry about because that's how Trump got elected. Does anybody else seem to remember the original fake news being the vast right-wing conspiracy that accused Bill of committing perjury to a federal grand jury? Remember Hillary getting on TV and going, you know what, this is just a vast right-wing conspiracy. That was fake news. That was a woman knowingly lying to the media to have a false narrative spread about her husband.
Right. After he lied to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Committed perjury. Like you lie under oath as the president of the United States. And we forget sometimes, by the way, that Bill left office on a plea bargain. He can never practice law in this country again. That's how he avoided prosecution after he left the Oval Office. So where we get off acting like Hillary has any sort of moral high ground is well beyond me. All right, we've got just a few minutes left in the podcast. That's not true. We've got like as much time as we feel like. But it makes for an easier transition to act like we're pressed for time. Oh, the program director is telling us to wrap it up. All right. So Jake Odum is here with us from Big Ol' Dodge, the general manager / partial owner / vice president of Cool Stuff.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Where can I find you if I want to find you on the interwebs, as the kids call it?
That would be...
What's your preferred method? Because you have a...
www.bigododge.com.
Okay, always the consummate salesman. What I meant was you have a really cool personal Instagram with a lot of fun pictures of Jeeps, rock climbing, and stuff like that.
I do.
Is that something you get into sharing with people, or is it
Yeah, man. It is not a private profile.
Big O66? Is that right?
Big O66. It's out there for the world to see.
I don't stalk you every night when I go to bed. My wife drifts off to sleep.
But he does.
Yes, I do.
And he ain't the only one.
Right.
All right, so we're going to introduce you to a new segment we call One Question 5 Times in a couple of minutes. But first, I just want to ask some general knowledge questions, okay? I want to talk about... Did you ever sell cars? I don't mean to be demeaning there. I just don't know your personal history.
Yeah.
So part of the process of coming up was being a salesman?
It was. I sold cars over a couple of summers. Anytime that we had time off from school, summer break, Christmas break, like one random day, then Dad was loading us up in the truck, and we lived in Anderson. And he would get to work no later than like 7:30. It was either 7 or 7:30.
So to put that in perspective, you're leaving the house by 6:45 at latest.
Man. Yeah, so like going to school was easy, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to like sleep in to go to school.
Right.
And so like we started going probably like to go and actually like work. Like we had a little time card we would clock in when I was like 12.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, my first jobs entailed of like daily mopping of the parts department when I was there. One of the jobs that we got, and sometimes like my younger brother would go, and we would get push brooms and we would sweep the rocks back into the potholes in the parking lot, stuff like that.
Yep.
So that's always a good time.
Humbling labor.
Yeah, man. And then the wash rack. So we washed cars, detailed cars for a lot of years over the breaks and everything. And then once I was in high school, probably I guess junior, senior year, those summers, then sold cars, did that, which that was cool. I mean, it was a cool experience. I liked it.
Are you allowed to do that? I mean, obviously you are, but what happens when some random dude's like, well, let's go for a test ride, and you're 16 trying to sell him the car? Did you get in and go with him or somebody else?
Yeah, you can go. Yeah.
Better times back then, man.
Yeah,
Better
man.
times. I mean, that was what, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
The 70s were a different day, Vermillion. I'm curious. The job I have now, I work behind a gun counter. Mm-hmm. That's like a monster dog in the background. I don't know if anybody else heard that.
He's just chilling. He's chilling.
Where is he?
He's right outside the door with her.
Jake travels everywhere with Gunner. Bull Mastiff, right?
Yep.
That's what we're looking at. How much does that dog weigh?
He's 150 pounds of puppy love.
He is a gentle giant.
He is.
Fun fact, he's in most of the TV commercials you make for your company. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. How'd that start?
Man,
You just said so because you're the boss?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he went with me anyway, so he was already there.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, who doesn't like dogs?
Who's going to tell him no?
Yeah.
Democrats, they don't like dogs.
Right?
Muslims. Dogs are actually forbidden by the Islamic faith. So
Forbidden.
yeah.
Yeah, see.
Filthy creatures, according to Muhammad. They probably tasted delicious to him.
Oh, man.
Probably what was going on.
Man, that's...
I mean, Obama ate a dog, so he's
lame.
Muslim. Just kidding.
Just drew that line right there.
He drew the line and then just hopped right over it.
This just turned into coast to coast real quick.
Yeah.
And then the alien came down. Okay. How do you develop the ideas for your TV commercials? Is that you, or you have a department that does that?
It depends. I have an ad agency that we've used for a lot of years now, and sometimes they come up with it. Sometimes they come up with something, and then I tweak it.
Tweaked, yeah.
And then sometimes I just come completely off the wall with something. And like my favorite ones that we ever did were we spun off of the Duck Commander, Duck Dynasty show, and did some Truck Dynasty commercials, and those were my most
Was that your idea, or was that the ad agency?
Yeah, that was totally
was
my
all
idea.
you?
Yeah, I don't think they
Pushed
would
it on them?
They would have probably been like, But then I'm like, hey, what about this? And they're like, that's a great idea.
Of course they are. You're buttering the bread, man.
Yeah.
Toast with that butter.
So it was cool. I enjoyed that one, and then we've done some weird, random stuff over the years. But
So the reason I asked that is because I think you're the only car dealership I can think of who's not yelling at me when I watch TV. There's that guy, and you can stay completely quiet. Forgive me for this, but there's that Mark Eskew guy who sells for Toyota of Greer, and this is how I imagine the shoots happen every time. All right, everybody, stand by. Okay, we ready to roll tape? Rolling tape. Okay, hold on, wait for the wind to pick up, and then we'll roll sound. Mark likes to scream. Hang tight. And then when there's a gale force 65-mile-an-hour wind and dude's hair is flowing everywhere, they go, roll it. It's perfect. Roll it. And he's like, you want this car for $99 down? Yeah, you do. And then it's like, it's 60 solid seconds.
I like that.
Me deciding I never want to do business with Toyota of Greer. I don't know why they do that. I don't know why they do it.
Right.
It's most dealerships in general.
I mean, all the time.
I figure maybe they just got like some cocaine behind the set or something. And they just rip a big old line and then just start screaming. And they're like, roll it. Make sure you're getting this.
Yeah,
And the guy starts to come down and he's like, did you get it? Did you get it?
Especially ones where the cars roll through. Do you ever see those where they're rolling cars through? And
Yeah,
it's
those are like when you do the infomercials.
Johnny on the spot knows everything about that car. You're not convincing me of anything. I'm not going to go buy that. Wait. Yeah, but, babe, I'm taking off. No, 2007 Corolla, $69 a month. Bah! It doesn't happen. So it's just interesting to me that approach. But you're one of the few who you see, you're basically, and you can correct me when I'm wrong, it seems like you're filmed on a green screen, something happened
Most
in the
of the time.
background, some kind of stock footage of your vehicles, and you're like, hey man, come buy this car. No, I don't care. And then you go about your business.
Right, which is pretty much the situation. I mean, we're real straightforward. We don't do all the bogus advertising that other people do, because a lot of people get caught up in that, man, and just
What you're saying is you're not Kia.
Well, right. We don't throw like stuff out there that you really can't get.
$10,000 off all these vehicles,
and we
Probably
just don't
more
do
of a
that.
headache for you than anything, right?
It totally is, man. Well, I mean, what
So they come in
what do
and
you
then-
do? Like, if these dealerships, they promise all this crazy stuff. Like, when a customer comes in and asks for it or asks about it, like, they just, they give like the Obama political answer and just completely sidestep it and be like, here's something shiny. Now let me show you this car, and it's just.
So you're saying you go in to get a Kia and they're like, we don't know their motives.
Listen, I can tell you this firsthand. I used to work in Top 40 radio, okay? And one of the things we had to do...
We couldn't tell by your voice.
All right, Elon. So... This isn't my top 40 radio voice, by the way. This is when I worked for Glenn Beck. But that's another humble brag matter, okay? When I worked for Glenn Beck, he called me one day. He's like, Vermillion, let's get that tenor straight. It's not true at all. So when I worked in Top 40 radio, the highlights were legitimately cooking hot dogs for the guys at Kia of Greer. I got in trouble one day because I told the dude to take a hike because he was telling me to make his hot dog darker. And I'm dead serious. That was a true story. But here's the thing I know. We're at a Kia dealership. I'm sorry if I'm like making you uncomfortable, Jake. Jake has nothing to do with any of this. He didn't know I was going to bash every other car dealership.
But I'm not completely mad about it or anything.
we're at a Kia dealership, and so they hand you, their talking points, and they're like, here, hit these highlights. And so you've got this little rundown of things you're supposed to go on the air and talk about. You are essentially a used car salesman for the day, which I always found funny because radio people take themselves so seriously. Yeah, I'm on the radio. Well, what were you doing before that? Well, I was bagging groceries at Bilo. Well, what will you do when you get fired, which is inevitable? Man, I don't have a clue. God help me, right? So you are essentially, you're hawking whatever product, which was always funny to me. So we're out at Kia. We're at a legitimate Kia dealership, and they were advertising something like $10,000 off and 10,000 miles, or it was a 100,000 mile warranty and $10,000 off sticker price. And I walk out and I'm looking at Kias. They're Kias, and the sticker price is like 27 grand.
Right.
And I go, wait, what? What? And this, keep this in perspective.
I was like, this wasn't even like these weren't even current ones. This was
10, 15 years ago.
This was several years ago.
I'm 35 now. I would have been 24 and 25. So
right.
Legitimately, 10 and 11 years ago.
I'm not taking up for Kia, but they actually have some decent product now. Like comparatively, those cars
better because
those cars at that
sucked.
time were
trash.
They were disposable.
I have a friend who
They were like a cheap toaster.
easily. And here's the thing,
that you
though.
could ride in.
Right.
The overall point is that here's a $27,000 Kia, and so I go, wow, well, $10,000 off sticker, and I start walking over, and I'm looking at cars. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna walk over here and look at this car, and the guy goes, no, not those, these, this row, right here, these, and I go, there's like 7 cars here, and he goes, yeah, these are it. So you got this lot with 200 cars sitting here, and you're telling me these 7 are the ones that are 100,000 mile warranty and $10,000 off sticker? Mm-hmm. Okay. Bogus. So
That's not a bait and switch.
yeah, big time, right? So anyway, I guess that was because you're smart, I think, to just be straightforward. People don't want to be sold anything. They buy because of relationships, and they feel like, which is another, I'm not blowing smoke at you, but it's a smart approach on your part to have a calm, friendly commercial, something they can relate to.
Yeah.
Because I believe people come in and they go, I'm going to buy from him because I trust him, whether they know you or not. And then they're going to come in and buy that way. They'll believe you when you say, that's the best I can do at 65 grand. Which leads me to the next question. What actually happens when the sales guy walks out? Like when I say, come on, man, you can do better. He's like, let me ask my boss, right? We've all been there.
Right.
What actually happens?
They literally
They walk in?
They literally go ask the manager. They literally go ask the boss and say, hey, what about this?
Yeah.
Depending on the salesperson and how experienced, how long they've been doing it, whatever. Some of the guys really pay attention and know like rebates and different things, but they still aren't sitting behind the desk and don't have the computer screen pulled up with the current cost. And there's, typically there's, you have an invoice, which is the cost of the vehicle, and then on certain vehicles and it's different amounts, you have like a dealer holdback, which used to be like profit that you were basically guaranteed. But the way that competition is and the way that people price the cars now, and a lot of people just say it directly on the ads. They say that we give you all the rebates, we give you all the holdback, we give you everything. So, but the salesperson doesn't actually know what that is per se.
Sure.
So they literally walk in and say, "Hey, they offered this.
How close can we
What
get?
do you want me to do? What can I do here?"
And then the boss has to do all the homework for him.
Right.
Essentially is what it sounds like.
Right. And sometimes they'll be like, let's do it. Or sometimes people just offer crazy, ridiculous stuff that there's just, no possible. It's what happens when you put things on Craigslist. You experience it firsthand.
Oh man.
You
Don't
put
I
something
know.
on there for $100 and they're like, well, what's the least you'll take? 80. Okay, cool. How about I give you 40 and I come pick it up? And you're just like, no, I just told
Right.
you. It's, so you fight that
I
battle.
thought he was about to tell us he's like trading pickup trucks for coffee tables now.
I mean,
My brother had one of the
depending on the coffee table.
My brother was selling I think he was selling his old Jeep, and he's got a new Jeep he just bought. He's always trading cars because he makes a lot of money. But
I'll ask you where he bought it later.
he lives in Charlotte, so he's 100 miles away. But I actually told him, just for the record, to call.
100 short miles,
Well,
I'll add,
right.
on Jake's behalf.
Yeah, well, here's the thing you have to understand before I go back to my original point. This is a guy, we're not talking, I'm going to do a lot of homework. I've probably done 6 weeks worth of research right now on a camera I'm looking to buy. Keith is the kind of guy who has disposable income and is like, Pretty sure I want a Jeep.
I like those guys.
I want that Jeep. I'm going to take that Jeep
Those are
today.
the best guys, right?
Yeah, that's the best guy for you.
Keith sounds like my kind of guy.
Keith was selling his Jeep and had it on Craigslist.
As
And
Jake slides a card across the table right now.
you were just telling him, man, like I said, big old 66 on Instagram. We do consignment. He was selling his Jeep, and he sent me a screen cap of a text message of a guy that said, what's your best price cash? And Keith said, I'm asking whatever amount. I'm asking X for the Jeep, and I just got this from a guy. And the guy said, what's your best price cash?
As
And
if he was going to take wampum or something.
So yeah, Keith replied, X. I do not take cattle. Like, you know, this isn't. What are you talking about? You're only going to pay me cash. You're not. What are you talking about?
Right.
It doesn't matter if
Like
you
he was
pay
go-
me with your credit card. I get cash.
But I have so many Bitcoins.
right.
He was going to come back and be like, well, I have a daughter and 7 goats.
Right. Exactly. I'm not dealing in cattle. So, do you ever get questions about? We deal with this a lot. I work at a store behind a gun counter, and every day somebody comes in and goes, "Tell you what, I'm gonna buy the rifle. I'm gonna buy a scope. I'm gonna buy some ammo. What's the best deal you'll do on all that?" And the best analogy I've ever heard came from one of the guys that works with me. He goes, "Who walks into the grocery store and goes, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna buy the bread, sandwich meat, and the cheese. What's the best you're going to
Package
do on all
deal.
that?" Yeah, what's my package deal? Does that happen to you guys?
Yeah, the bad thing is I've probably done that at your store.
Yeah, it's true.
So let me lay it out here.
But
for
we
you.
like you,
Right,
so it's
right.
different.
And I'm going to need you to throw in the extended warranty on that firearm.
right. That's lifetime. So go ahead and die, and then we'll.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's we don't. There is not ever a deal that doesn't happen. Pretty much, like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
What do you mean by that?
The exception would be that someone would say, "How much is that?" "It's this." "Sounds good. I'll take it." Like that's happened once. You know what I'm saying?
I can vouch for you. You met my wife earlier. I want you to ask her if she comes home before we're done. That's exactly how we bought her van.
Yeah.
15 grand. Yep, we'll take it.
Nice.
It was us.
Nice.
We were pretty much. I mean, she
You
wanted.
researched it.
Yeah, well, we did. She knew exactly what she wanted. We walked on the
You knew it
lot.
was a
They
good
had
price.
it. It was a good price. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we were done. There was no need. But that kind of comes out of, to us, 15 grand was right in the budget. We had a $20,000 budget. 15 grand was $5 grand under.
Yeah.
And you walk on, and she goes, "That's exactly what I've wanted. It's got 2 DVD players. It's got heated seats, blah, 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 blah." And then, I mean, who am I? I'm not going to say no. She makes more money, right? So it's like, all right, babe, whatever you want, you know? So...
Yeah.
all right. If you can hear the dog in the background, just know I have 2 young children upstairs, and so in my head I'm hearing my kids, but it's a dog,
Yeah, I think
which
he's,
probably
I think
says
he's
I'm a
hungry.
really bad parent. It looks like he would eat these empty bottles. Do you think he wants those?
Yeah, chew on this glass bottle here.
Are you hungry, buddy? All right. There's a 200-pound dog
I
looking
was
at
about
me.
to ask him what it was like over at the Sandlot these days.
Right.
Nice reference.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
We got a lot of
reference.
baseballs hoarded up in the backyard.
All right.
I don't doubt it.
Before we do one question 5 times, I do want to ask you one more thing, general knowledge wise.
General knowledge.
So we all go to work every day, and we look at our boss, and we wonder what he does all day long. And you're the boss of a lot of people. Give me a rundown. What's the GM of a car dealership? What's your day to day like?
Well, the best thing about that, and I'll give you kind of like an average day, a possible day. The best thing about it is it's not ever the same.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, which is good for me because I have what I believe to be an undiagnosed ADD or ADHD. I don't really know the difference. I wasn't paying attention long enough to figure that out. But it makes it good for me because I bounce around and do all kind of different stuff. But, I like most people, I think, you go in, you get the day started, you've got however many emails, that have come in the past, just 18 hours since you left work or whatever. And I've got phone messages, I've got stuff like that. There's also, you gotta, no matter what you're doing, you have to constantly learn and try to improve. So there's different, like automotive news. So like automotive publications and things like that. So you're trying to
You're trying to keep
learn,
up.
read, reading leadership articles, books, stuff like that, which I think is pretty important. And then a lot of times there are fires that need to be put out.
Sure.
You know, the dealership is different than anything else because it's one big business. Like we have 78 people that work at the store, but it's several smaller businesses inside that business that make it up. So we've got a team of about really 10 probably core managers, but the service department is its own business. The parts department is its own business. The sales department, you know, the finance, the F&I, finance and insurance department. And then you've got, we've got one, you know, office that then oversees all that and, you know, kind of does the accounting part of it. So a lot of it also is meetings, you know.
How familiar are you with every entity? Is that something you have to be well-versed in every nuance of what they do every day?
You have to have a good working knowledge of it for sure. I mean, the thing is, I have really good managers that come in and take care of business for us, you know. I can't necessarily go and sit in their seat and do what they do.
Sure, right.
But I know what they do. And I know, you know, the metrics and the numbers that we need to be hitting and things like that. And I know the things that need to be taken care of. So then they do, you know, you get a report. Yeah. And then you also have the more fun days that I refer to them. Those are like commercial days.
Where you dress up like Duck Commander and shoot things?
But even like a normal one, you know. I mean, I might have to like dress up, wear a suit or do something. But, you know, then I leave the office, I go... Right now, I film the commercials at our ad agency place. It's actually off Woodruff Road, so
they do all the production and everything for you.
They do, man. Yeah,
awesome. Okay.
Yeah, they got a full service over there, and so I'll go. I'll do the ad, and
that's a great idea. Can I go with you and see what the worst commercial we could get them agree to do would be? Like, can we come up?
Talk into something
Can
ridiculous.
we just go in? Here's my idea. I'm just spitballing here. Let's say we go in and you're like, first of all, everyone, this is Chris. He's from the Felt Recoil podcast. If you don't know what it is, you're an idiot. Leave the room. And then as they all stand up.
Go watch it now.
Yeah, as they all stand up, you go, sit down.
What are you doing?
They're like, you said to leave.
I imagined it more like Step Brothers, where Jake's sitting in the room and you're sitting directly behind him.
Pops out.
All right. So then they
Hello,
go,
Miss Lady.
I think I can help with this whole commercial dilemma.
this gentleman, he's got the brains, and here's our next commercial. And then I'll just pitch them like, all right, here's the idea. I walk onto the lot, and I go, there's no way I'd ever buy a Dodge or a Jeep. Definitely not. Do you sell Chrysler? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely not a Chrysler. And then Jake, the camera goes to Jake's face. He gets a look of determination and says, yes, you will. And I go, the camera comes back to me and I go, America.
Why does that not sound so bad? I actually like that.
And then I just want to watch their faces as they're like, they can't be serious. And we're like, okay, you don't like that one? Got another one. And then they
I can do this all day.
You watch it wash over them that they're not done yet. They have to continue to put up with us.
Yeah, we should totally do that.
Until they actually agree.
Right? Yeah. Well, then you fire them.
They're really just.
Then you go, this was all the test. You're all fired.
You fail. I like the America ad.
That would be so funny.
Yes, you will.
It's America. All right, let's have a little fun here. Let's play one question 5 times. You guys ready? All right. That was our highly valued, well-produced music. All right, we're going to give you 5 questions. Each one's about one thing. You got to pick one, and you did get the questions in advance, so we expect really, really good answers.
Is there a time limit?
No, sir. Take your time. Okay, since our common theme is firearms and Americana, what is the one gun everyone should own? If I'm going to own a gun, what's the one? Don't say Chris's 300 black SBR that I looked at earlier. That was awesome.
Right. And you should probably, gift that to me.
No can do. Class 3 firearm, and you look like a felon. It's the beard.
Happens every time.
What's the one?
The one firearm that everybody should own is it's an AR-15, I think.
Just any AR-15? You got a favorite? Don't play to the audience, please.
I mean, my personal favorite one that I own is I have a Shepherd Firearms. It's Elite is what they call it, Elite rifle, and it's bad.
Okay.
Full. It's all aluminum and just all the good stuff. I mean, it's top shelf kind of deal. But I mean, just for the average, I mean, not just any. I wouldn't say just go buy. Don't go do the stereotypical thing and buy the cheapest one you can find.
Right.
Don't buy the Kia of ARs.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
You can say Ruger.
Don't do it. But I mean, a decent one with not the basic, but a little upgraded furniture. I mean, pick something that you like, that's comfortable, whatever. But I mean, just the fact that you can hunt with it, you can target shoot with it, you could do competition stuff if you outfit it. You can use it for self-defense, home defense, in the right situation.
Sure.
I would say the one that everybody should own is that.
All right. What's the one album everyone should own?
And that, like you said, I did get these questions beforehand, and I'm all about some music. I'm all different kinds. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, everybody should own it, and it was kind of the one for me.
I just want to preface: if you say The Wall, you have to leave and never come back.
No, it's not.
Okay.
The Ultimate Experience, Jimi Hendrix.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I expected that out of you.
Yeah. Man, that was the one.
Was that defining for you?
It was.
Does that take you back to a developmental portion of life, or what?
I remember I had the cassette tape. Mm-hmm. I had it in my Walkman. I was relegated on most.
What?
That's right.
No.
I was relegated on most Saturdays to the riding lawnmower and cutting acres of grass.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of time.
Okay.
And it's too loud to have any conversation, so I had the Walkman, and that was like my first like rock and roll album, which I feel like everybody should have. It's got some classics on there.
Yeah. All right. You mentioned earlier that most of your day is spent reading books to make you smarter. Not really.
That was a paraphrase at best.
Not what I said. What's the one book you think everybody should read?
Oh man, again on this one, I thought, I thought about the stereotypical answer. What I should say is like
The Bible.
The Old Man and the Sea.
Oh, okay.
Let's be a little
Go
philosophical.
to hell. Whatever. Yeah. Say.
Well, the Bible is like the obvious choice.
Right. And I don't mean this blasphemous anyway, but Bible I don't really consider a book. Like, it is a great book, and I think if you read the Bible and stick to it, you're going to be a much better person than 99% of people.
Let's just say that it's more than just a book.
It's more than just a book. Yeah, exactly. It is. It's more of a. It's kind of a doctrine.
It's an instruction manual for your life.
Yeah, absolutely. But
so
that aside,
yeah. So Bible is the go-to easy answer there.
what you're trying to do here, you're saying, is you don't want to be pretentious and say The Old Man and the Sea, or
or go with the Sunday school answer and say the Bible,
Right.
even though I think that is the most single important book ever in history. But for me personally, I'm going again, kind of like the Jimi Hendrix thing. Me personally, book that I really liked was called Rumblefish. You ever read it?
Never heard of it. No, sir. But I
It's,
will read it. What you got?
It's I'm trying to think of when the time period was. I'm thinking it was like 50s style in I think it was New York. It was definitely like big city style, but it's just inner city
Is it a novel?
kid. Yeah. And it's about it's these kids and they're like street fighting and stuff and just kind of rowdy, and they're just the rowdy youth of the day. The one kid, like one of the better parts about it is the one kid who's the main character, his older brother. He doesn't actually have a name. I think he's just like Motorcycle Boy or something. It's good. It's cool.
Okay. And did that impact you in a way that changed who
That
you
started
are?
my street fighting career.
Oh, it did? Okay. First rule of Rumblefish is we don't talk about
Led to me
Rumblefish.
creating Fight Club, which they made a major motion picture about.
Right.
Move on from this to West Side Story.
Not a musical fan. No musicals.
Well, that's your own fault. All right. But no, seriously, did it impacted you in a deep way, or
yeah?
or
I mean,
what?
it was. When I was younger, I really liked to read. Then they started picking like books for you and making you read them.
So much worse, isn't it?
Dude.
Anything that's mandated is hard to do.
Yeah. So like a really lame form of rebellion is I was like, man, I'm not doing
Not
this.
reading this crap.
Nah.
Yeah,
Reading's for nerds.
that's right. Yeah.
And I got Jimi Hendrix to listen to.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you don't know how to be a nerd, Hulon.
Right.
All right. What's the one movie everyone should see?
That one was easy.
Okay.
That one I didn't think about what I should say. But it was Tombstone.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, there's a Vermilion in Tombstone.
Oh yeah.
Cactus Jack Vermilion. Yeah. Interesting. But all right,
Dude,
go ahead.
Best movie.
Sorry to insert it.
You notice nobody else picked up on that. Nobody else gave a flying crap.
Nobody else
about
cares
some guy named
Vermilion?
Vermilion.
I'm pretty sure you just made that up.
I did.
As if we're gonna fact check it. I've already moved on with my life.
But
I
hands down, best movie ever. I think.
I want to share something pretty phenomenal with you then.
All right.
We did a video, part of my work, we did a video with some guys the other day. And I got to chat with one of them afterwards, and we were talking about meeting celebrities and how some people get kind of starstruck, some people don't, yada, yada. And so we were talking about, well, what celebrity have you met that made you the most nervous? What's the coolest celebrity you've ever met? Well, this guy says, okay, I got invited to be a part of a project. It was filming in Los Angeles, and we were with a Purple Heart recipient. And the Purple Heart recipient was like, hey, you guys mind if on the way home we make a quick stop? And we're like, no, of course not. And we stop off, and he knocks on the door, and Val Kilmer opens the door. And Val Kilmer has us into his house, and we're sitting around his table, and he knows the Purple Heart recipient because it was a military-style thing they were doing, okay? So you got a lot of former military guys. And he's like, not only am I awed to be in Val Kilmer's house, but Val Kilmer says, hey, I do have something I want to share with you guys. Let me bring it out. And Val Kilmer is doing this art with aluminum sheets where he's making Doc Holliday out of this aluminum sheeting and has one for each of them and autographs it. What? So he says he has an aluminum piece of art that Val Kilmer made of Doc Holliday with Val Kilmer's signature.
That's pretty rad.
That's pretty apropos to your story, too.
Yeah, I'd be all in on that.
Yeah, that'd be your thing.
That was hands down Val's best ever performance as well.
Do you feel like there's a lesson from that, or is it just an enjoyable movie? You put it on and
Man,
and,
I mean,
you know,
I think there's probably a
you
lot
get
of
absorbed
lessons
with
with
it.
it, but I don't want to I don't want to really bog down the
Yeah,
movie with trying to figure out what lessons need to be learned.
yeah.
You know?
Okay. Is it you just put it on and forget kind of all your troubles and,
Yeah,
and
dude.
get absorbed into it?
Yeah, I don't know how many times I've watched it, and it was one of my dad's favorite movies. But I mean,
Gotcha. Yeah, that can mean something for
dig
sure.
it.
I'm that way with Blazing Saddles. My dad was a huge Blazing Saddles fan.
I love that movie.
And I remember the funny part to me about Blazing Saddles, despite all the hilarity of the actual movie with the Invisible Swordsman and all this funny antics, and Mel Brooks in and of itself.
That was an Invisible Swordsman in that movie.
Wasn't that Blazing Saddles? No?
I think
Am I wrong?
I think you're missing. You're twisting. Maybe there's another Mel Brooks movie,
What am I? All right, I'm mixing two together.
or maybe that's like. Is that Monty Python? The Holy
Doesn't
Grail?
he shoot? What am I intertwining here with Blazing Saddles?
Yeah, I feel like this is going Monty Python.
No.
There's definitely not an Invisible Swordsman in Blazing Saddles.
Not an invisible. They're not like.
You're gonna have to explain it.
I think I'm intertwining Three Amigos here as I'm talking out loud. Three Amigos. There's an
entirely
invisible character guy they shoot. All right, here's the point. What I do remember that I know is accurate about Blazing Saddles is my dad telling me how much he liked it, and then they used the N-word in it. Right? And I remember being like, well, my dad would not approve of this, but it was, his little thing that he thought was so funny. It was kind of one of those, don't tell your mom we're going to watch this movie type thing. So that endears that film to me, despite the fact, obviously, I think I've seen it twice in my life, but I'm always endeared to it because of him.
Oh, I've seen it a ton of times.
That movie's equal opportunity offender, though.
No, it totally is.
Absolutely.
No one is safe, and you could never get away with it now.
Right. But that's
Everybody's feelings would get hurt.
that's why it's so lovable.
So many safety pins.
Right. Go to your safe place.
All right, last question in our one question 5 times. What's the one piece of advice you would give your 18-year-old self?
And that, don't care so much about what other people think and what they expect you to do.
Amen.
You know?
Right.
I feel like I was pretty hung up on that. And maybe not hung up on it, but like I just always was trying to do the things that I was supposed to do, which some of that ended up really well.
Right.
And some things when I didn't do that ended up not so well. So some of that was good. But at the same time, I mean, it just, it's like, it's kind of the equivalent to me of like playing it safe or whatever. And then you just be true to yourself. Like, you do you is the most basic thing to say.
Yeah.
You know?
A bit of a cliche, but very true.
Yeah.
We tend to do that at 18, right? Like when we're kids, we tend to think everybody else's opinion is the weight of the world. And for some reason, we have to deal with that. That would have been really good advice to have heard. I like that. Is there anything you want to leave us with that we didn't ask about outside of buy from Big O Dodge or support ISIS? The choice is yours. Hey, new tagline. I'm going to throw that at the ad agency when we go.
Right.
All right, here's our other commercial. So Jake and I are in the desert, and we're obviously fighting terrorists. And this one terrorist is like, we're going to kill you because you keep buying Toyotas and Kias. And I'm like, whoa. We're with Big O Dodge. And then they all go, Big O Dodge, God bless you. End of commercial. End of scene.
Underneath the big American flag on the motor mile.
Pure genius.
They say,
Pure genius.
The terrorist looks at us and says, the only thing that could make me love the American flag is the fact that Big O Dodge is located underneath one on the motor mile. Otherwise, I hope they all die. But if the big American flag on the motor mile has cast its shadow on you, you will live.
I'm pretty sure they're going to bite on that one.
I think that's going to be the winner.
That's a winner. And me and my camel gunner.
Right?
Right.
Some paper mache humps.
Third idea, and I'm done. But it plays off the terrorist angle.
I don't think he's going to stop.
This
at 3.
is basically just like the actual meeting we're supposed to have, but it's happening now.
Right. Here's what
Make
happens.
sure they listen to the show.
Just imagine. All right, we start with a dark screen. Okay. Scene opens. Tight shot of Jake's face. And he says, some people buy from Big Old Dodge Chrysler Jeep. And some people kill innocent Christian children. The choice is yours, America. That's it. In scene. And wait. And then the camera continues to pull out, and you're holding that sign that Michelle Obama had with the hashtag that says "Bring Back Our Girls."
Oh gosh. Oh god.
And then hashtag Buy Big O. It's gonna go over really well.
Right.
They're gonna dig it. I cannot wait for this meeting. When is it?
Soon.
Don't tell him when it is.
Right. It's penciled in right now.
I'm gonna send an email tomorrow to every ad agency in town to see who bites. When I'm like, had a meeting with Jake Odum last night, and he said to email you a list of my ideas for his next TV commercial.
Let's see which one responds.
Right. I think they're all pretty good, but just tell me their top 3.
All right. So an AR-15. Jimi Hendrix. What was the name of the album? I'm sorry. The Experience.
Ultimate Experience.
The Ultimate Experience.
Kind of a greatest hits collection.
And then
Rumblefish.
Thank you. I had fish. I couldn't.
Yeah,
get the other half.
that was out of left field.
I like that though. Tombstone, and then Be Yourself.
Yeah.
Don't care what everybody else does. Do you?
And we're gonna release a CD of Gunner making whale sounds.
I like it.
I would like that. I would buy that.
Right.
For people to fall asleep to.
Yeah. It's relaxing.
All right, if you enjoyed the show, find us on Facebook.com/FeltRecoilShow, Twitter, same thing, Instagram, same thing, and you can find the list of all of Jake's answers to the one question 5 times.
This is Felt Recoil.